This is Ashley.
This is Justin.
And this is Mark.
And this is Awkward Fist Bump Productions. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Okay, so for today's episode, we have brought on you guys might think she's my enemy. I call her my friend, Shanese from 60 Days In and Etowah County. We were in jail together for a while, and there has been a lot of people wanting us to have this conversation, and now is the time, and we are ready. So introduce yourself, Shanese.
Hello, everyone. I am Shanese, and you probably saw me on 60 Days In with Ashley, so I'm excited to be here. I agree with her. People think that we are enemies, but we've had many conversations. So
Many.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Before we get going, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video. And if you feel like financially supporting us, because y'all know we've been bringing y'all some kick butt guests.
It's the fight. Like, I love this. And then with Shanese, it's celiac. It's they've got to pick something and just pick and pick and pick. So it's no offense to the fans. We love you. Please don't be mad. Please don't be mad at us.
I mean, there's a reason why we call this channel Awkward Fist Bump Productions.
It is
We're just going to embrace the oddity that it is.
Yes.
And it is what it is.
Having all the awkward conversations.
Definitely.
Yes.
So, Shanese, tell me, what's your involvement? First of all, what made you, first of all, decide you wanted to leave your life and go be on this TV show for 60 days?
Yes.
Sure. Originally, it was a very bland, email that I saw about, and I was like, sure, do you have a great personality? And I'm like, sure. And then when I found out what it was for, I was like, hold on now. Why do you have to have a great personality to go to jail? I was like, I don't know. So originally I told them no. I told them no multiple times. And they asked me to just think about it. And so what I did is I started researching. Other people, other inmates that had been in prisons and jails and that had celiac disease, and how some of them had almost died. Some of them got malnourished. Some of them lost a lot of weight. And so once I start kind of reading those stories, I was like, I'm always a champion for the people. I work with at-risk youth. And so this is my opportunity to be a voice for people that won't have a voice any other way. So reluctantly, I decided to go ahead and do it and try to bring awareness to people that have autoimmune diseases and food allergies that are in the criminal justice system.
Mm-hmm. And you weren't the only girl in there that had the food allergies and stuff.
No, there was another girl because people knew that what I had, and I had a great relationship with a lot of people. Like my last week, they brought me a young lady that was allergic to onions and latex. And of course, latex is in everything because you guys wore latex gloves. The trustees wore it, the officers, and she had hives all over her. And she said, basically, they told her, you need to navigate your life like you do on the outside. And she said, I can't because you guys use latex gloves. And so I had told her, I said, you need to talk to 60 Days, not to say 60 Days In, but I told her she needed to talk to the camera crew. And so she did, because there were multiple people that had issues that just weren't handled.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's actually a good point. The common misconception among the audience members of 60 Days In is that you dropped the celiac disease after you got picked and after you got in jail. So is that true? Like did you not say anything until you got there and then become a big burden? Is that, and I'm not saying you were, I'm just saying how the cameras obviously displayed you. But is that what really happened? Tell us what happened.
No, what happened is initially when I started talking to the producers in 2018, that was my first thing that I told them is, hey, I have celiac disease. They had no idea what it was, so I had to explain it to them and tell them, the things that I couldn't have. I had probably 3 or 4 meetings over the phone, and at one point, probably about a month before I left, I sent an email at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm having nightmares. I don't know if I can do this. And so I let them know that. The funny thing is they told me that they did not want that to be my only story. And so although I tried not to make that my only story, it happened to be my only story. So yes, everyone was aware several months before we went in.
How long did you actually do on 60 Days In?
I was in 27 days.
Oh, okay.
27 days, yes.
And I've noticed, with me doing time, people that have, problems like that, medical problems, sometimes people, it's like pulling hair trying to get things done in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's kind of frustrating because, like when there's officers, like Mark has already said it in the past, like, yeah, a lot of inmates try to get down on the system. And but then there's sometimes when there's people who are just telling the truth, like, look, this is what I have, this is what I live with, and I got to deal with this. And a lot of times they just brush you off to the side and don't help you that much. And that's one thing I would love to change about, prisons and jails, but it's kind of hard because then you also have the people, like I said, that do try to get down and, like,
Yep.
we don't like the food, so we know that, like, this diet is better, so they'll find a way to get around to get that diet. But then the person, two people behind them, actually have that problem, and they're tired of hearing it from so many people trying to get down on them. So then they just push you away because they're tired of hearing all the stories, and yours is actually a real story. And somebody that they dealt with the day before wasn't really what they've go through. They just want better food.
Right.
So what did the jail do as far as accommodating your dietary issues?
So on day 2, when I was there, I was actually in my cell, and I was on the floor, and I was shaking because I was so hungry because I didn't get a chance to eat before I went into the jail. And so production, they pulled me in. And let me tell y'all, I had never had a Snickers before then, but when they pulled me in, they had like Snickers and food for me. And I was just, I'm like, please don't play this, because I was just eating everything. And so at that point, when they pulled me in on that Friday, they had a nurse that knew what was going on with the 60 days in. And so they said, we're going to get her involved and we're going to get you a letter. So on Saturday, I was able to get gluten-free food, but come to find out later, they didn't even know what gluten-free food was. The chief and sheriff said, sorry, Shanese, we're in the South. Like, we don't eat gluten-free. And I'm like, I went to several gluten-free restaurants while I was in the South. So I think that they they gave me a different meal. Like, my meal came in a styrofoam container, so it was known that it was different.
They wrote GF on the top of it. So when we gave her the trays, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but they put so when I was a trustee, I would hand out the trays, and on hers they would write GF in big letters on the top. That way we knew that it was the gluten-free meal, and it was supposed to be a gluten-free meal, but I think 7 times out of 10 it wasn't. Yeah. Like, they'd give her grits for breakfast, or they would give her like one day they gave her like boiled chicken, like flavorless boiled chicken on top of a bed of rice. And they've given it to you with noodles before. And like every day, and it was always such a slop mess that it was touching all of her other foods. And her allergy, and interrupt me if I'm wrong, your allergy is so severe that even if the gluten touches your other food, it causes a reaction.
Yeah, it's called cross-contamination. And so, when I would tell the officers or, people around, they're like, well, why don't you just pick the chicken out? And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, my celiac is so bad, I cannot have children because I was misdiagnosed for many years. So I know the damage that, eating something with gluten will have on my body. And so I'm like, I can't just pick it out. There was a time that Ashley, I didn't want to be a burden, but there was a time Ashley was going around collecting oranges. I didn't want to ask people for their oranges because I didn't want them to feel like, oh, she's going around begging or she's complaining. But it seemed like a lot of the inmates, they understood. They would ask me, like, what is this? And they would feed me a lot of the times. They would feed me.
Yeah, and people think they're not kind, but like,
that is so. Let me tell you, when I left jail, my dad got so angry at me because I told him, I said, I miss the inmates. Like, Ashley's roommate and I, like, we became like really, really close. My roommate and I didn't plan on having those relationships. I went in there to do a job, but part of that was building relationships because I wanted to mentor the pregnant women. And it happened, and they were really helpful. And if it wasn't for, Ashley in the beginning and the other inmates, I wouldn't have ate. I just wouldn't have.
So you say that's actually a good point, because one of the consistent things that's come up on pretty much all our episodes is the fact that they leave a lot of stuff on the editing room floor. And 60 Days In fans that watch this will know, because I've said this story before, the one thing you don't see on my season is I went in and wrote 30 resumes for guys because, I mean, I've got a college degree and I have the ability to write resumes, but they didn't show that. So what did you do? It sounds like you were trying to mentor people that wasn't shown by the cameras, or actually didn't make it under the final cut, should I say.
Wow. Actually, I did a lot. There's even some things that, Ashley didn't know that I did. So my roommate and I, we got into it my 9th day when I got commissary, because there was a pregnant girl that had told me that her dad couldn't put money on her books and she didn't have anything to eat.
Which one was it?
And so I gave her,
Which one was it?
Ashley?
Which girl
Nina.
was it?
Nina.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
And so, I gave her some popcorn, some candy, some stuff like that. And so just talking to the pregnant girls, it was a girl, and I don't remember her name. She was next door to me, and she was a little girl. And I sat down and I ate with her, and I was like, hey, why are you here? And she said, I'm here for drugs. And I said, I want you to look in his face. I said, I can't have kids and you're pregnant with your 5th child and you're doing drugs. I was like, every time you want to do drugs, I want you to look at my face and remember that I can't have children. And so that was a person I mentored. I mentored Ashley's roommate. Like, we got really close. I talked to her outside of here. When I got ready to leave, there was a girl, young girl, that my roommate had made me aware. She was crying upstairs when she was on the phone. Well, her grandmother had been put in the hospital while she was in there. She had like a stroke or something. When I left, that's why I was mad at Ashley at first. When I left, I took off I had bought boxers and undershirts, and I had like soap and lotion. I left all of that for my roommate to give to her. So there was things that, I left stuff for people. I gave stuff to people because people had my back. And so I wanted to return that favor and just being there to talk to people. I mentor kids before I went to the program. I mentored kids that were 17 to 20. So in jail, I did that as well. I just wanted to talk to them and try to let them know, hey, I'm in jail too, but I'm here for a different reason. Don't keep coming back. My roommate and I, she had been in and out of jail for
20 years.
15 years. And we actually almost got in a fight. I don't know if you remember this, Ashley. Remember when she was about to get in a fight with somebody and I jumped in?
The white girl. The white
I
girl
said,
that
stop.
sold the
This
TVs
is
from
stupid.
Walmart.
Yes. I was like, this is stupid. You say you done with going to jail, but you're acting ignorant. Like, we got into it because I didn't want her. I don't jump in front of anybody getting in a fight.
I remember this. It was in the day room. It was between the tables and the TV chairs. Yep. And it was, what was that white girl's name? She stole the TVs from Walmart and she gave Lizzie foot massages. What was her name?
I can't think of her name. No, but I know you're talking about.
She gave foot massages. She was a stripper and a licensed masseuse, and she gave foot massages. And I know you know who I'm talking about.
Hold on, time out. Justin, do you feel like you're in the women's pod right now? Because I'm trying to get caught up on the gossip. Continue.
Yes, nobody ever knows how crazy it is on our side.
It's so real crazy. It was out. And then when old girl got in a fight, I don't know if you remember this, she had just came over to sit and talk to me because I had talked to her the day before about her hair because she had curly hair. Yes. And she got into a fight, and so I was trying to talk to her. So I spent a lot of time really building relationships.
Amanda. It was Amanda.
I can't remember her name.
Okay.
But she was determined. Yes. So that was just, helping people. I knew that we had an allowance for our commissary. So there was times that I was able to give people stuff that my roommate was like, why would you do that? They didn't have your back. And I'm like, they did. I didn't brag what people did for me, and I didn't brag what I did for people. I just did it. And so that caused some frustration with my roommate and I. One of the times we had some frustration.
Yeah. Then there was the you guys had, was it roaches or mice that you guys had?
Okay, roaches. So let me tell y'all. Oh my God. So I was sleeping on the floor because I don't like heights and I don't want to do all that. So I woke up and I'm like, I feel like something's staring at me. And I looked and it was a roach like this big, and he started running towards me. I screamed. I woke up the whole jail. I was like, I'm gonna get on this top bunk because I don't do bugs. But then I had a spider in the bunk bed. It just was crazy.
The best part about that whole story is you're like, and he's running towards me.
They did. The roaches in Etowah County didn't care who you were. They were going to charge you. They didn't run from you. They charged you.
I don't want to one up you, but when I was at Waycross, a snake actually came in through the window in our room.
Oh my God, no.
I wouldn't have made it.
It was
Oh,
about
Shanice. Oh, I'm so sorry, Justin. I'm
No,
gonna
you're
interrupt
good.
her.
You're good.
Okay.
You're good. You're good.
Shanice, I want you to tell them. Nobody knows this. This is a story that's never been told. Tell them about how in your room, in your cell, you could see into the men's, and the
Oh
men
my
could see
God.
into you. Nobody tells this story.
Oh my
It's
God.
the
Okay,
best.
so
Yes.
my roommate and I play cards every day, and that's something that I wish they would have shown, because my roommate had some anger issues, and when she was upset, we would play cards a lot and we would talk mess. And so one day I forgot that the men can see into our pod, and I was winning, and I had on like some shorts and my little shirt, and I got up and I started twerking. I'm like, yeah, I'm kicking that butt, yeah, get it. All of a sudden I heard, woo! And I was like, oh my God, like the men were over there looking. It was crazy. The conversations, I would be asleep and I would have my butt turned towards the window and I would hear them screaming. And so it became a point where I got magazine papers and I got toothpaste and I put them up against the window, because I was like, this is kind of perverted here. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So it was different. Yeah.
They had that in my county.
They had that in your county?
Yeah, they had 1 or 2 rooms that could see over down into the girls, and the girls could see us.
Wow.
And then there's a wall dividing our yards, and so like they would tie notes to like water bottles and stuff like that, and then throw them over.
Wow. So the way relationships were established is like, so the Unit 5 guys, the ones that Tony, Dennis, Alex, and all of them were in, was right next door to Unit 4, which is what we were in. And so the girls would go to the windows on the bottom level on Shanice's wall. Like all those walls had windows that could see into the men's gym. It was the gym, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the end of their gym.
It was the gym. Yep.
Yeah, and then the girls would like flash the guys, and they would write their room number, or they would hold up a sign that says their room number, and the guys would write notes. Well, the Unit 5 guys had trustees that worked in the kitchen, and then you would tie the note up and put it in the finger part of a glove, and then tie it off, and they'd put it in the food, and that's how they would pass the notes, and through commissary order on the kiosks, they'd pass notes that way. But yeah,
I forgot about all those different.
Yeah,
notes.
There was code. There was like a code. Cheat sheet. Yeah. Wow. People were crazy.
So we are going to have people. We learned this after interviewing another guest from your season. Great guy, Matt, the Marine. Yes. He is legitimately a good guy. Oh, yeah. But we learned after posting the video, there's going to be naysayers. They're going to come on here and they're going to put comments below. Oh, yeah. What would you, because I know you've been fighting them for the past, 8 months now, 9 months, year. What would you say to people that said, you say you're the one that was subject to the hate, but the stuff that people were saying online about, and they do it about all of us. Right. But what would be your response to people that say, hey, you wussed out, because of your celiac disease, or, Shanice was just this terrible person? Because first of all, the one thing I will tell you is this has always been a friendly environment to 60 Days In participants, whether you made it the full 60 or not, because we all know how the editing really is. Right. And but a lot of people take our show at face value, and they don't, even though sometimes they'll acknowledge, it's edited, they don't realize sometimes the extent of editing. So what would you say to the naysayers here?
A few things. Let me be very clear about this. Actually, I wasn't really involved with talking to anybody until recently, because I like to control what comes into my environment. And so it really wasn't until lately, because I've had people that have emailed me. I've met a guy that was like, oh my God, you were my favorite. We were able to see through all of that BS. And so once I start kind of talking to other people, I'm like, let me kind of come out and tell my story. So what I would say to people is, it is TV, and it is there for entertainment at the end of the day. The other thing is, research and see that there are people that go to jail every day that have some type of health issue. And just because you go to jail, that does not mean that you are guilty of anything. It's innocent people in prison just as it's innocent people in jail. So the thing I would say is just I've had some people that really, watch some of the videos that I put on my own YouTube, and they're like, we didn't know that. We wish we would have known the information that you share. Is just be open and think about the people that are in their life that may have an ailment, an autoimmune disease, an allergy, and what will happen when they go to jail. The thing about it is I didn't do this show to make friends, because I have enough of those. I did it to bring awareness. And the thing is, people are having conversations. That's when I start doing my videos. I'm reading people that I don't even know defending me. Oh my God, this editing of Shanese is getting ridiculous. Oh, I can tell this. We know her point. We know why she was there, because she's trying to bring awareness. Is just think about how they would feel if someone in their family went to jail, whether they were innocent or guilty, and how would they feel if something happens. Matter of fact, I did a video yesterday. There is a guy in Washington that is actually suing the jail because he told them that, hey, I have this disease. He provided the paperwork. They did not give him a meal. So this is not something that is an isolated occurrence. And if we don't bring awareness, and people don't, like me, don't put themselves in the front line to do this, then it's not going to change. I knew that it was not going to be a popular decision to some. My dad, I'm a daddy's girl. When I decided to do this show, my dad didn't speak to me for a week.
Oh, wow.
Because he said, I'm not worried about anything else but celiac disease. And so I want people to really think about the fact that number one, I quit my job because my contract was up in July. I quit my job to be a part of season 6 of 60 Days In. I closed my business to be on season 6 of 60 Days In. I put my health in risk, and I walked out of the jail with an additional autoimmune disease because they weren't able to handle the things that I told them, like my heart palpitations, my feet were swollen. I'm glad there were some visual things that people could see that was wrong with me, because, I even said it to Jen. I said, you're the type of person that if you don't see something, you don't visually see it, you don't believe it. And the thing is, celiac is covered by the American Disability Act. That's why I wanted to do it. I want people to talk. If it's good talk, cool. If it's bad talk, cool. They still talking. And they thinking about it. And it's things that are happening. And even in the 60 Days In group, I posted a video and some people had negative things to say. I don't care. If I can bring awareness to one person, and if I can save one other person from going through that in any other jail or prison system, then my job is done. And that's what I care about. That's what I care about.
Go ahead and tell them what Etowah County did in response to the information you uncovered about the celiac when they remodeled the kitchen.
Oh yeah,
this is my favorite happy story. So.
Yeah, and it Ashley kind of let me know, because Ashley and I, we had our issues, but one of the things that I raised a lot of saying about is the fact that you can be on a religious diet and you can get certain foods, but you can't because of a medical reason. And so Ashley made me aware that now they have a chart where they let people know these are the different things that people can and cannot have. So it's something visual. They don't have to go ask somebody or look it up. It's right there in their face. And so that, to me, right there, I'm glad with that. I'm happy. If that was all that they did, I'm happy.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Like you said, with different religions, they almost will bend over backwards for somebody's religion and turn a blind eye to somebody's illness. And I mean, I've noticed that the whole time I did time too. It's like, there's people over here actually suffering and not getting the treatment and what they need. And then there's people over here that are just part of their religion is this, that, or the third, and they're getting anything that they want. So, besides actually like bringing awareness, what was something else that like you're really proud about, like doing the show, and like what's something that like changed your life about it?
When I read the comments and I hear a lot of people that have different autoimmune diseases, they say, "Oh, there's no way in heck that I would put myself in jeopardy and go." Well, I did. I feel like I was a sacrificial lamb, and I did it. And so, even my sister, she was like, you can't do everything that everybody else can do, but I can. And I did it. And, I've heard people say, and I've said on my videos, I don't talk bad, just like you guys, about anybody, however long they stay. Anybody that even wanted to volunteer to go to jail, it takes a special kind of person to want to do that. And, some people, my sister was like, I'm proud of you because you outlasted other people and you have this health issue. So I think it's just the fact that people have to I always want to give. I'm always wanting to give for the underdog. I've always been that way. And this was my way of doing it, is bringing awareness. I agree with you where people make excuses and lie in jail, but I wanted to make people aware that it might be someone that is really, they might really have a situation, and you need to look into that. And so, is this how plugged up? So, oh, there we go. So I'm just proud that I even did it. I overcame a lot of my fears. You know, I'm deathly afraid of spiders. I had a situation with spiders. I don't like bugs. It's a lot of things, you know, but I had to learn how to act like and think like an inmate. And there were several situations that I wish they would have shown. But what I've told Ashley is now I do comedy. So I put all of the crazy stuff people had to say, I put it in comedy and, you know, bring some joy to it, because there were joyous moments in there. And I try to think about those. I didn't expect to have joyous moments. And so I think the fact that I was able to go in there with an open mind and not look at an inmate as an inmate and look at them as a person and look at their heart. A lot of times people can't do that. And I was able to do that. And I think that's why I was able to build the relationships, even though you didn't see that on 60 Days In. You know, I was able, Ashley can probably attest to that. I built a lot of relationships. We had a lot of fun times. And that sounds weird to say in jail.
Yeah, we did. We had, man, I'm trying to remember some of like the best times. But probably just sitting around playing spades. That was fun. We had a lot of fun doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Just talking and hearing people's stories, like just listening to people's life stories was probably.
Oh my God, you remember? Oh my God, I can't remember her name, but she was in there. I talked to her. I was so scared to talk to her, y'all. She had been in jail in 10 years. No, not. Oh, her. I'll talk about Annette in a minute. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. So there was a girl that had been in the jail for 10 years. And she was accused of killing her dad with her boyfriend. You know what I'm talking about?
Was it Marcy?
Yes. No,
Marcy.
I can't think of her name. So anyway,
with the really long hair.
Yes. Okay. She came and she sat down and she just started talking to me. And we were talking about really crazy. We were talking about liquor. And I was talking about Crown Royal Apple. And she's like, man, I haven't like had a drink. I didn't even know they didn't have that when I was out. And so just sitting and talking to her, people talk so negative about her. And just to sit and have a conversation with her, you know, it was amazing. You know, Ashley talks about Annette. I'm a Christian. And what God had told me is everybody is being so mean and nasty to Annette. Like, you need to talk to her. And I told my roommate, I said, I'm going to talk to Annette. She was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And one day Annette came out of the room and she was like, you know, who want to fight me? F y'all, bees. F y'all. And she's just going crazy. And I said, hey, Annette. How are you doing today? And it took her down and she went back in her room. Because sometimes that's how people want somebody to feel like that they care. I used to go up to the room. I'm like, Ashley, you think I can talk to her now? And she's like, don't get caught up here, because I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to feel her spirit and see what it is that she was struggling with. Why is she so upset? Because people are not just upset for no reason. There's something internally that could be going on. And I wanted to get to that root cause.
One of the most like mentally disturbing things that I observed in Etowah County was the way that they would do isolation. It's you would be in a cell by yourself. You would only get to come out for 30 minutes a day at like 11:30 at night. You couldn't use the phone. You couldn't order commissary, and that's if they let you out. They let you out, depending on what guard you get. On Miss Williams' days, you didn't get to get out. So they would be locked down in solitary by themselves for anywhere from 24 to 48 hours at a time. And what I thought was the most horrifying is, like, can you imagine being locked in a cell? You have no books, you have no TV, you have nobody to talk to, and you see people coming out and they're not allowed to stop and talk to you. And the way that would damage your mental health, if you already have any type of mental health disorder, and then seeing people having a life outside of you, they're not able to speak to you, and then you can't even get out. Like, no wonder she destroyed the room. No wonder as soon as she got out, she had to fight somebody. I don't blame Annette, and I don't blame Sierra. I don't blame a single one of them. Ashley, I don't blame any of them for wanting to fight people as soon as they got out, because I can't imagine the damage that particular isolation situation did to already fragile people.
And then,
That
So
bothered me.
I've got a crazy question real quick because you brought up a name that I would like to know since I have two from the same pod. Was Officer Williams as bad as she was portrayed?
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Let me
Uh-oh.
get ready.
Well, this might be a separate. This might
Oh,
be a
man.
separate episode all unto
Let me
itself.
fix it.
I think Shanese is. Yeah. Okay. There she is.
again.
Yeah. So Miss Williams was the devil. I felt
Oh my
like.
gosh. Okay. I'm back.
She was the
Okay.
devil, and I had a conversation. They showed a little part, but I felt like since I was there to bring change, like after she had all those moments, I was gonna take a shower, and I was like, I'm not gonna say anything, and it was like God was like, no, you gotta go say something to her, and so I went over there, and I'm like, what's the deal? Why was you acting that way? Because somebody upstairs, they was just banging, and so every time I would try to go up the steps, then they would stop. So I would get pissed off because that happened twice, and I said, okay, so why does everybody else have to pay? And so we had a real deep conversation, and I had to tell her, I said, everybody that's in here is not guilty, and you're treating us like this. And she got so pissed off at me. She's like, everybody locked down. Because I'm like, dude, I want to talk to you of why you're doing this. I want to get an idea because in real life, I'm not an inmate. So I need to understand why are you doing this because I'm strong enough to handle it. But what about the people that are in here that are not? And, I wanted to lay hands on her. I will tell y'all, it's a part where everybody's like, Shanice is always saying she gonna snap. Oh, Shanice snapped many times, and I pray to God that they did not release, because I called Ashley and Jennifer over to the room. Like I spazzed out. My roommate was like, Tiffany gave me a high five. She's like, I've never seen you spazz out like that. I called her every name in the book. I was like, I wish she would go die. And then I stopped and I was like, Lord, I do not mean that. But something needs to happen to her. She is evil, and she's ugly evil.
At the time that happened, though, keep in mind, this is where it starts, all the aggression that we had, and probably what began the fight that you and I had. We were so sleep deprived. We were up for probably 72 hours because we had the day shift officers. We had to do the day shift stuff, and then we had night shift where she was banging, and she banged on the walls for like almost a solid 8 hours. So that
wasn't edited. She really was in the middle of the night. Was she turning on the lights on y'all?
Oh yeah.
She would turn back. She would turn the showers on too. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. She would turn the showers on, and then she wouldn't let us shower. Like it was all like very mental, like abuse. It was so bad.
I saw her come onto the Etowah County Facebook page and try to defend herself. I mean, it was, I don't know if you saw that, Shanice.
There's no defending that. I did.
She was all on that page, and it seemed like she was going crazy stalker on you, Ashley. It was insane. It was like, wow. So maybe she really wasn't edited to be maybe she really was that way. Because
you guys didn't see all of it. So you saw a small part of how she was. It was no way. The only thing that was edited is it was cut, because it was continual, just that all the time.
For days.
She would look in your window and she would tell people, oh, you just mad because you ain't got nobody to put no money on your books. You a fat B. Like that's how she would talk to people.
That was girl she pepper sprayed that she started that with. Yeah, you
a fat B, and you got an effed up weave. You just mad that don't nobody put money on your books and you can't have commissary. I heard it with my own ears. That's how she talked to the inmates.
And if anybody thinks like, oh, that's just that one person, no. Any prison you go to, any jail you go to, there's gonna be at least one person on every shift that has a bad attitude like that, and that treats inmates horrible. And it's sad because it puts, and we've been talking about this, like the one bad apple in the bunch ruins the whole thing, right. And it makes a bad look for other officers that just want to come in, do their job, and go home. Right. And there are actually people like that at every camp that I've ever been to, every jail. There's somebody that's just harassing. And it's like they take their hate and anger from home and from their own life and try to inject it into everybody else's and make everybody else's life just as hard as theirs is, if not worse.
We have got to do just an Officer Williams episode.
Please.
Get both of you, and if Jennifer will do it, and then everybody just say what really happened.
I'll bring the receipts too. I still have all the screenshots from my argument with her on the Etowah County.
Oh yeah, you sent it to me. Yeah,
Yes. Do you remember her throwing the microwave? I just want to ask if you remember this.
I don't remember. I remember the microwave was missing and it was broke, but I don't think I knew what happened to it.
She threw it.
In the microwave?
Yeah, she threw it. And it busted. You may have been out for an interview at that time, or down in
I missed that because I would have known. I would have. Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm not surprised, but.
So, question off topic, and all three of y'all can answer this. How in the heck do they keep pulling y'all out for interviews and doesn't make it look noticeable? Because
it's noticeable.
Like I said,
it's noticeable.
Like, how many times are you gonna go out and talk?
in my pod, they pulled, just like they probably did with y'all, they pull out all the inmates.
Right.
Like everybody goes out at some point for an interview. But that is the one thing that was weird is every 10 days or so, I would go out for mine. It was like always consistently me. But
I had mine on Tuesdays, every Tuesday.
Oh, every once a week. I think we did ours. At first, they didn't pull us out for, I want to say it was like 2 weeks. But then after that, they started pulling us. But interest. That's a good question. That's a good question.
Because I'm like, man, like, how do y'all not get picked out? Like, golly, because I mean.
Well, as I said, because they pulled out everybody.
Okay.
I mean, everybody goes out. And I mean, inmates. That's how they get the inmate interviews when they're, when they show those in the clips. So, but hey, I think this is a good stopping point because we're at 38 minutes. Okay. Shanese, thank you so much for joining us, and we need to have a Officer Williams episode where that's all we talk about is Officer Williams. And so if you'll come back, Shanese, for that, we would appreciate it. I love you guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure again to subscribe, like, share, and
we're going to post the link to Shanice's YouTube page down on the bottom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Shanese. If someone wants to follow you, go ahead and give out your information.
Well, I'm Drama Queen, with Drama Queen, but K for the Queen, for Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube is Drama Queen Vlog. I have lots of videos out there to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
We'll even post your YouTube video if you'd like.
That's fine.
Cool. Okay. Or your YouTube channel.
Yeah, cool. Post the link in the bottom.
All right. Well, we love you guys, and we will see y'all next week. Everybody bring it in. Fist bumps.